the other lessons that we talked about, that education is meant for us to learn so that we can make this place a better place. So, and it's not for indoctrination. So what we do is not meant to have apologies for. What we're learning is that the true meaning behind masks was the meaning was annihilated so that to conform, so that people can conform to a societal thought process, so that they say, oh, you wear masks on Halloween, instead of wearing that on an everyday basis. You see? You should, by right, find your authentic self and be able to wear that anytime you want to. I can wear this anytime I want because it has no societal norms, it has no constructs, it has no barriers. And it is a form of protest because now I'm in this beautiful space, but I want to wear what I masks, what I put on for an inner reason. That's what this is meant to be. You should be able to wear whatever you want to wear, whenever you want to wear it. That's what this is meant to open up for you, so that you find your true inner self, your authentic self, so that you know that you can do and be what you are, and it's accepted because it's not going to be able to be judged because it's your authentic self. That's the only thing that cannot be judged is your authentic self. So, did that answer?
Like, Resident Halloween?
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love Halloween. Yeah. But I don't use Halloween as the only time to mask up.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I see, where I work, the nature reserve. I go to 2 braids, and that's my way of saying this is who I am, my authentic self. You don't see that in society.
There was an interesting, I found it personally interesting when I was listening, this relationship between concealment and revealing, and how, like, in almost every day, and especially I think for the younger generation, because you guys are so seen, being like constantly seen, like you through the social media, the audience is always invisibly present, and kind of like masks that are understood as like the way to protect one or conceal the inadequacies, but also the indigenous tradition of this moment where the mask is actually revealing your innermost self with pride. But then at the same time there's this interesting moment of like, and there is a moment where it's conversation for initiated ones, and there's like an extra level of concealment for the people who are not the true audience. So there's like an interesting dynamic between like the value of revelation and how we conceal the reveal again. And I think like masks is a fascinating boundary that should be explored.
It should be explored. Are you aware that most indigenous cultures on the planet, not just in America or South America, have masked rituals? And it's always the ones that are more connected to nature, because they use masks as symbols of nature, of the natural forces, because they know that they are one with nature. So they'll use it in rituals and so forth. But that practice has been stifled by societal norms, by education, by religion especially. The only mask holiday that you'll see in religion is Halloween. That's the only thing that they'll like. But yet, if you go in a mask and you want to celebrate the new moon, then they automatically label you as anti-religious. So there's names and there's idioms that were put on us for being our authentic self. But that was only because, let me tell you, when the people of the earth, the people that are of the earth, the people that take care of Mother Earth, and they're one and they vibrate one, very powerful. Because they know how to feel the vibrations. They can feel the vibrations of each other. They can feel the vibrations of the plants, of the birds, of the trees. And there's interconnection. There's also a communication that's always going on. There's a communication of fear. There's a communication of joy. There's a communication. There's always a communication that's going on. The higher up we are away from the earth, thinking that we are above the earth, is when we're disconnected. It's when we are disconnected. So these masks are not just indigenous. And indigenous is a loose term. Indigenous to me is a term that means everybody that lives one with nature on every part of every continent.
How do you decipher, like, I have a punk costume on today, but that also is something I resonate with. It's also a part of my identity. It's being like grungy, like having that aesthetic, but it's also a label. So it's like we want to stray away from labels, but we also use those labels to identify our being, like all the things that make us who we are.
So if we take away those labels and you're just dressing, and you're doing it like, you know, whenever you want, and you're not putting yourself in that box. You're not putting yourself in that cultural box of saying, you know, I'm a punk and I dress like this. You know, it's very similar to some of the dressing of the ancient Irish. Very similar. It's very similar. You know, a lot of lace and a lot of flowiness, and so you can take yourself out of the box of the label and just dress. And to feel, because there's some kind of connection that you're feeling with that. There's a connection. It's probably ancestral. It's probably, you know, you could be, what do people call it, Ireland? Yes, Celtic. It could be, which is, yes, the Celtic, because they live one with nature. They're herbalists. You know, they have a connection with the trees and the soil and all the plants and the birds, and they feel one, they go barefoot, and so you could have a connection of something that's in your past that you feel a connection with somebody put a label on it. So you get rid of that label. You have the right to get rid of all the labels. I hope I answered it. Did I answer it?
In a world where we're constantly being disconnected, how can we be connected but also live in an indoctrinated state? Is there a way to do that, or is, I don't know, I can't find a balance. I see the straight one end and I feel like I'm falling behind and I'm not living up to this expectation of myself and my parents' expectation of me, and just
There's your key. I was waiting for it. Parents' expectation of you know. So there's different things that you can do on purpose, like learning the moon cycles. So tomorrow is the most powerful new moon of the year because it's right before the most powerful super full moon that's coming up. So you can go outside and stand barefoot in the grass in the total darkness of the new moon and meditate or find some words to just repeat in your mind. You know, you know, what's always in my mind is no longer I that lives, but the Creator that lives in me. It's no longer I that lives, but the Creator that lives in me. And stand outside, and just that little bit of practice starts opening, and then you'll want to do that more and more. That's the only way to do it, is to just go out. It doesn't have to be a long time, but grounding yourself, and you figure out, after a while, you start have all your thoughts will start flowing. You know, I still don't know what I want to be. Really, I still don't know what I want to do. I mean, I guess I'll know when I grow up. Because I could not fit into any of those molds that they had for me. So I had to go inside and be creative and just be. And sometimes that's what you have to do. That doesn't mean you don't get your piece of paper. Because you have to have a job and you have to feed yourself. Am I right? But that doesn't have to be your mask either. You can be more than that. That can just be your day job. You know, make sure you like your day job. But it doesn't have to be everything.